Hello, hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Wildside Chat. Today we are going to be talking about B.I.N.K. And just a quick reminder, the Wildside Chat is going to be a brief discussion of every card in the game, starting with items, then going to clinkers and companions. And as always, this is not a source of truth. This is just my experience and my opinions. So don't get too upset with me. And the first thing you may be wondering is, why is B.I.N.K. here in alphabetical order? And I thought that too, and it's because of this dot, that pesky dot that counts as before every letter in the alphabet. Anyway, so B.I.N.K, I'm just gonna say outright, I think is an insane card. I think this card is really, really good. Couple of reasons. A, ink is just such a strong keyword. Silencing is very valuable. Prevents prevents all of the, well, I guess several deadly mechanics at once. It prevents teeth generation from things like Pawpaw, Tiger Mask, things like this. It prevents Smackback, which is a great killer of many runs. It prevents Uba Bear, who is just a very cruel, mean individual. Prevents things like Barrage and Aimless that are often very dangerous. Also can prevent your own negative things such as Hog-Headed, Aimless, and can remove the enemy's unmovable auras, such as on the Jailer, as well as the Hog-Headed aura on Numbskull. Obviously, there's a lot more things that it silences, but these are some of the big ones that are potentially game-losing if not dealt with. So another thing that makes this card insane is the text that says "hits all enemies." I mean, that is insane. So what that means is it is an excellent target for charms. So things like Snow, Bomb, another Ink Charm, Battle Charm, things like this are getting potentially 6 times the value that they could on another card. So it has a 1 to potentially 6 ratio on conversion of some of these effects because it hits all enemies, which is super powerful. I would say this card is almost always a positive addition to a deck, and I can never say anything is always a positive addition to your deck, because if you have a game-winning deck that needs nothing to win, then you should add nothing to your deck. But I would say this rarely is going to negatively affect your deck. I think this card is really strong. It is usually going to be helping your deck, and importantly, it deals damage because it has this 0 attack, which is very important. It deals damage when things have bomb applied to them. So if you have 4 bomb on 3 guys through Bomb Barrel, suddenly this is doing 12 damage, which is which is insane. It's a great addition to the Junk Clan. One downside of this, I will say, is it does lack the targeted versatility for things like Clinker and Spike, which your Flask of Ink can provide. So there are a few things that you can silence on your own guys that can be quite useful. Blink, reduces his own scrap by 1 when he attacks, so you can prevent that. You can just silence it. Spike has Hog-Headed. You might have a Hog Charm. You can silence those effects off, and then you can take them out and heal them up. And that can be a very valuable thing. I will say also be careful with ink on things like King Moko. If you silence King Moko, maybe now you're not going to have enough damage to burst him down before he attacks, and that can be a detriment. Just be very careful about that. As well as on Frost Guardian in Phase 2, not getting the cut health for every time something dies can be really, really annoying. It's not the end of the world typically because he's not getting stronger, so he's just going to be hitting for small amounts, but man, can it take a long time to do 999 damage, and it has potential to be detrimental depending on when you use that silence. So just keep those in mind. Additionally, it negatively affects Winterworm in the sense that it's negative for you because when Winterworm is not silenced, hitting it is a benefit. It reduces the attack. Usually that's not a huge deal, but it absolutely can be a factor in some games, without a doubt. Also, I think this card is an excellent target for Noomlin. Noomlin Charm or Noomlin Biscuit, this is a card that you would love to play over and over and over again in a lot of cases. And like I said, I think it's so good with charms because it has that great efficiency of converting resources into output. Honestly, I guess this is probably going to be my shortest one so far. I think this card is nuts. I think Silence is nuts. I would highly recommend picking this card up in many cases. Obviously, you have to keep in mind there's opportunity cost for picking cards. Like, you have two in a treasure. You have 2 cards next to this, and yeah, maybe this isn't the thing that increases the value of your deck more. Maybe there's something more critical to your deck, because this typically isn't going to be a card that makes or breaks or defines your offensive engine, for example. But it could with some charms. But there are more like critical cards in some cases. Maybe Sun Cream is what you need to get your engines going properly, and maybe that's a better choice than B.I.N.K in a lot of cases. Also, if you're spending money, maybe you're losing a crown at some point, or you're losing a crown in this current shop, and maybe that's not worth it. So, things to keep in mind. There's always opportunity costs for making any choice in this game. Just always keep that in mind, even with the really strong cards. And like I said earlier, if you have a deck that is going to win without this card, then you don't need to pick this up. It might actually detract from the overall value of your deck because your deck is really strong already. So yeah, with that in mind, thank you so much for watching. Once again, always feel free to leave feedback on how you agree or disagree and what interactions I may have missed with these cards. Always open to these discussions. I just want to improve the overall knowledge of the game, and that starts with discussion. So hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Until next time.